Well, time for arts and culture news now with Arise News' very own masterpiece. Well, not so sure about that. It's Jason Mansoray.
Who wrote it?
Charles and Yagola, you're so kind. Thank you very much. Well, today, Arise News Arts and Culture brings you the largest selling modern and contemporary West African art show in London. Now, it's back for the third time in 2015. Transcending Boundaries is its name, and it opens on the 22nd of April. Featuring never-before-seen artworks from 35 artists, the exhibition passes a keen eye on cultural life of Africans. Starting at Asia House and moving on to Lacey Contemporary Gallery, it covers sculpture, mixed media, oil on canvas, wood and metal. Now, luckily enough, the exhibition is put on by Aabru Art, and Anshu, Bahanda, the curator, chairman of the organisation, joins me in the studio. Thank you for coming on the programme.
You're welcome.
I wanted to ask you, of course, you've been madly getting ready for the exhibition which opens tomorrow. So I wanted to know, as you've been hanging everything and obviously curating the whole thing, what's something that stands out? I know you can't have a favourite, but what's something that maybe stands out for you in the exhibition?
There's this artist I've come across who we're showing at this exhibition. His name is Desai Tantua, and I have his piece in the catalogue here. It's he's coined the phrase African pop art. And what he does is he picks on slang, on African slang, and then he'll do a painting around it. Okay. And there's always a socio-political, economic theme to what he does. Like the piece we've got, it's called monkey by grade, shoe by size. And that's a phrase that's used to describe the haves and have-nots. And as you know, there's a lot of economic diversity. Yeah. And he does a lot of writing, and he does a it's his version of pop art, and it's very interesting.
I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the name Transcending Boundaries. Now, we know that, African art is rising incredibly well in the global art market. So when we're saying we're trying to transcend a boundary, what boundary is it that's left?
This year, particularly, that's a very interesting question for us, because the last few years we were always saying that we've done this and we've done that and we've transcended this boundary. And we've transcended that boundary. Look at our art; it's so amazing. And look at the kind. We can hang it against a museum. This year in particular, we think we've picked up on a lot of issues which are very prevalent in Africa, but also very global issues. Whether it's women issues, whether it's economic disparity, whether it's what happens, what is the worth of a life in certain countries. So we've picked up on a bunch of these issues, and these are the boundaries we need to transcend. This
is interesting, because I want to cast a critical eye. In the exhibition you have 35 artists, but it is a little bit disappointing to see that only one of them is a woman.
Yeah.
Now, why do you think that is, and should we be looking at Aabru Art to fix that?
No, absolutely, and this is something that, in fact, I've been wanting to do something with women. Now, if you look at that's an exact example of what happens in in the countries we're talking about, because there's one woman here and there's 34 other artists. There's very few women artists to men artists. Whether they make it, whether their parents are ready to pay their college fees for them to go and learn this, that's one of our major issues. And one of the artists here, actually, this gentleman called Bruce Onabrakpe, who's a very, very senior artist, he actually conducts workshops for people who can't afford to make it. And then from there, he hopes he can find talent.
Yeah, absolutely wonderful. I'm glad he's doing that. I wanted to talk to you about another one of the artists, Tola Weiways. I'm going to check the pronunciation on the surname there. And he's got a really interesting subject that he's looking at, which is one of these boundaries. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yes, that's a very interesting painting you've picked, because it's about the Chibok girls. And as you know, there were all these girls who were kidnapped. Some of them made their way back, they found their way out, but the others, why are we not making more of a noise about it? Why have we forgotten about these 200 to 300 lives that have just disappeared from the face of the earth. Where are they? Why are we not doing more to find them?
And I also want to point out, you guys did actually, a year ago, actually start talking about this before the Chibok schoolgirls about missing girls in Nigeria. So well done for you for covering that subject. I want to talk a little bit about you, because of course we've got you on the program. Now, you've had quite an unusual path into art, because you studied economics and computer sciences.
Yes.
So how do you come into being this art curator?
Well, and then I was a banker after that. So I think I've done a lot of different things in my life, and everything I've done I've been absolutely in love with, and that's what I can't live without. And the art, I think, happened to me more than anything else. Yeah. I've always loved art, and I've always collected it for myself. And some of the artists came and found me and said, why don't you work with us? Because, there was a lot that had to be done 5 years back, with Nigerian art internationally. Today is a very different scenario.
Yes, because we've got, of course, 154. Yes. We are, Saatchi exhibits, exactly. Latin American and African art, the Tate Modern, it's
so
going
everyone,
crazy.
Yes, the Tate, there's the acquisitions committee where we pick art, and there's a lot going on now, but it was very different 5 years ago. So I said, okay, let's dabble in this. I kind of tried to resist it, but then there was a lot that had to be done there, even on the ground. So we started looking into it, and we said, okay, I said to them, look, please don't have any expectations, but we'll do little baby steps.
And now, 3 years later, absolutely phenomenal, huge, which is really good to see. I want to also mention that it's not just art that people can see during the Transcending Boundaries exhibition. You've also got a fashion show, I believe, as well. Tell us a little bit about those sort of things.
Well, the thing is, what we're trying to do is, it's all art. Fashion is art, and we're just sort of trying to engage people with the culture in different ways. So we have a whole program and, a whole schedule. In fact, what's interesting is, this fashion show, we've picked young fashion designers from here who have African backgrounds. But we also have an artist here called Kolade Oshinova.
We have had on the program before as well.
Yes.
Yep.
He's actually painted and during a fashion show.
Brilliant.
And they've used his art to make dresses and things like that.
Anshu, thank you so much for coming on the program. Sadly, we've run out of time. It's time to go back to another masterpiece, masterpieces plural, rather, at the desk.